Hey guys, I'm Nis, I'm a mindset coach, and I'm here to teach you everything you need to know in order to consciously create your desired life experience. Beanie sleeping over there. He's adorable. I'm gonna scooch a little bit to this side. Okay, so this is the second video of the little childhood trauma core wounds series, and in this one we're gonna talk about the wound of rejection, and I have notes and I'm gonna actually use them this time. So here are the indicators for people who have that wound. Doesn't mean that you need to have all of them, doesn't mean that there can't be any other indicators, but these are the ones that I have noticed within myself, within others, and within my clients in my entire professional life. Somebody asked that question in the first video. I am the source of this. I came up with this list. It's from me, right? So there's no book that I can recommend you. There is no other person that I can send you to and be like, read this. That's me. Okay, so just so you know, this is why I have to give you the disclaimer of course there are other indicators, but these are the ones that I have noticed and that I am working with, okay? So, high levels of anxiety. Constantly being nervous because a person with a wound of rejection is constantly expecting some kind of most likely negative judgment. Constantly being afraid of being yourself, constantly overthinking what you're gonna say or do next. It's not like you're holding back, but if you have that wound, you are most likely formulating and reformulating and rewording, and maybe I shouldn't say that, and maybe I shouldn't say anything, or maybe I can express it in that way. Constant fucking overthinking, because you are always afraid that what you want to convey to another person or in a specific situation it's gonna get judged and it's not gonna be enough, essentially, right? What else do we have? Another indicator is being an overachiever and having high, unrealistic expectations on yourself. Not as much on other people. When it comes to other people and their human flaws, you are most likely very capable of easily forgiving them and moving on and having compassion with them. When it comes to yourself, not so much. So if you are saying things on a day-to-day basis like, that's not good enough, I'm not good enough, this is too good to be true, that's never gonna happen, or when you're constantly thinking that when something good is happening, that there is probably some malicious intent behind that. Or it's too good to be true, essentially, that actually covers it. Yeah, that does. So when you say these things and when you're constantly feeling unsatisfied, no matter what you're doing, you're feeling unsatisfied with yourself, you always have this thought in the back of your head where you're could have done it better? Am I doing it right? Is that the right work? Should I do that? Constantly asking for feedback is also an indicator. So once you have found a person that you can emotionally trust and you know that's a nice person, they will not beat me up, essentially. They will not tell me to go fuck myself and that I'm worth nothing. Once you have found that person, you develop a tendency, a little bit of an attachment there, tendency of constantly asking for feedback, constantly checking in. Am I doing that right? Am I doing that right? Is that correct? Is it tell me, please tell me, because I cannot decide for myself. Kind of like that, right? What else do we have? Yeah, overachiever, I already mentioned that. Oh, going overboard to please others. Being people with the wound of rejection, they are the masters, the leaders. They deserve the crown of people pleasing because they will not only please you, no, they will sacrifice themselves. This happens a lot of times in young parents, especially single parents, that have that wound within them, and then they give essentially a big part of their happiness and their life to their kids because they think they need to, because they want to so badly prevent their kids from feeling rejection. So there's also something about neglect there, but again, those wounds are overlapping anyways. When we're gonna get to the wound of neglect, we will talk about that. But yeah, sacrificing yourself, essentially. It's not just even pleasing anymore. It's not I don't want to do this, I have to go out of my way to do this for you. It's gonna be I have to cut off my own leg for you to be happy, I will gladly do so. This is like the kind of style. On the other side, I mentioned it in yesterday's video that those wounds create fears, and fears come in a duality from one extreme to the other, and it is very normal to have both, to wobble between them, or to be like in one extreme for the majority of a life, and then my camera died, but in the meantime Lemon joined us and is licking Beanie. I'm just gonna keep that in the background. It's probably cute to watch that. So last thing I said was that you have those two extremes and you can wobble in between them, and sometimes it depends on the situation or the person that you are interacting with, right? So always keep that in mind. They come in a variety of colors and shapes and forms and whatnot, and you can have all of them or just one, whatever. So I mentioned that people-pleasing is the one extreme. The second extreme for the same indicator essentially is being cold as fuck. Ghosting, being dismissive, avoiding confrontation, being manipulative, being pushy, being naggy, and trying to force people to do what you want, essentially. That's the flip side of that all. Another big, fat, gigantic, enormous indicator for having this wound is chasing emotionally or otherwise unavailable people, while on the flip side, having available people on the hook. It's often that we get, if we have a wound within us, it happens very often that we then start inflicting this wound onto other people. So it's very normal that if we have a wound within us, it usually happens that we in some capacity will inflict it onto other people, either onto our kids. So if you have kids, look at the dynamics there as well. Keep that in mind. Onto partners, friends, and social situations. It's not just that we get rejected and then we are wounded and playing the victim and the people pleaser. We are also very much capable, and a lot of us are doing that, to dish out shit, to be the cause of the wound for somebody else. This is like the behavior that we learn, that we deem to be normal, and then we do the same shit with somebody else, okay? But that happens not just with wounds, it happens with patterns, it happens with anything. Anything that you ever felt like happened to you, somebody did something to you, look a little bit closer, because I guarantee you did that to somebody else as well. It was always within you, right? So all of that, keep that in mind. Taking advantage of others, essentially, would be the, if I would summarize it up in one sentence. What else do we have here? Yeah, those are like the main indicators of that. You're constantly thinking that you are not good enough, essentially, but also that the stuff that you get is not good enough. So you are constantly trying to get more. It's hard for you to be satisfied with what you have been doing, have been achieving, or who you are. And it can go into extremes, for instance, when it comes like, I'm just gonna take body weight, weight loss, or muscle gain, or whatever it is. I'm gonna take that as one example, but again, there are like a million examples here. Just don't have the time, and I don't want to talk about all of these things, but like, just to have one example, somebody who has been rejected and then maybe also has the wound of humiliation. We're going to talk about this in a later video. But when those factors are coming together and you feel rejected, you also feel not enough as the person that you are, with the body that you have, with the looks that you have, essentially, right? And you can be the most beautiful person, most handsome person on this entire planet. It doesn't matter. If you have been rejected, and you are, in your case, it gets focused upon the way you look. You can be gorgeous, you will still feel like you're not pretty enough. And this is where addictions with plastic surgery can come from. Or this is also where the addiction to work out, eating disorders can come from that wound. It's like all coming, like that shit is like bleeding into all of the areas of your life, essentially. So keep that in mind. is in general a lot of times like going overboard with something is a big fat indicator. And if you are one of those people that have it in the way where you in majority of times are avoidant of things and you are more the side of being dismissive, being cold, not allowing things to happen because of the fear of being rejected, essentially, a lot of these people have a tendency to distract themselves, to run away, to do something else, to seek some sort of escape or distraction, and that can then lead to alcoholism, to drug abuse, to sex addictions, to all of that stuff. So people who have been rejected are constantly looking for some kind of contentment, and they cannot find it within themselves because they have been taught that they are not enough. So they are looking on the outside world for it, and a lot of times that leads to addiction. So if you have struggled with this, or somebody in your family struggled with that, whatever, right? Take a good look at yourself, take a good look at your surroundings, your family, and all of that, and consider this as well. Now let's talk about where this is coming from. It's essentially true rejection. So most likely the kind of rejection that we are experiencing as grown-up people is not the kind of rejection that we have experienced as a child, right? Nowadays, when we are grown up and we have this wound, we are getting directly rejected. We're not getting a job, we're not getting the guy, we're not getting the girl, we are not the ones that are chosen, whatever. But the source of it is essentially the being not appreciated for who you are and what you did. This often happens when you have Asian parents or Arabic parents or other parents that are strict as hell. Those kind of parents that hold such a high standard with so much pressure on you. They are expecting you to choose between becoming a lawyer or becoming a surgeon, and there's nothing in between. Constantly asking, like overlooking your achievements at school, constantly comparing you with somebody else. Comparison can happen in so many ways, shapes, and forms. It's ridiculous. So comparison can happen between two siblings. It can happen between you and your classmates, you and your friends, you and other family members. So for instance, oh, your cousin has already this, and this. What about you? When you constantly, nowadays, when that's an indicator, when you're constantly getting asked by your family members, so when it's gonna happen for you, you're the only one that's still single, you're the only one that's not married, you're the only one who doesn't have kids yet, you're the only one who doesn't have a steady job, you're the only one who hasn't bought a house yet. And you get these questions now as an adult from your family. Look into your childhood, because there is most likely some kind of fucked up comparison situation. It can be comparison due to your looks, due to your achievements, due to your skills, due to what you're capable of doing, or just due to your normal personality. I got compared to my brother by my grandfather, and his verdict was, I just don't like her. I just do not like her. I don't know. I can't help it. She sucks. I wish she wasn't here. That was comparison. Comparison can also be in terms of your grades. You come home, you show your grades, and then your parents are like, so what grade has Timothy got? Has Timothy gotten an A too? Are you the only one? Because it's not enough to have an A. No, you need to be the only one who has an A, okay? So stupid shit like that. The constant pressure, constant expectation of you need to do something, and whatever it is that you're doing, even when you're following all the rules, even when you, as a child, we sometimes already start people pleasing. So when we are then following all the rules and we still get rejected for absolutely nothing, this is where this shit is coming from. Essentially, it boils down to no matter what, you are not good enough. And you will always feel like there are people that you want to prove yourself to. You are constantly trying to get validation from somebody else, essentially. So when these kind of dynamics happened in your family, in your childhood, then you can be certain that there is something going on along these lines. Another thing that can cause this within yourself is when you then finally have something that you are proud of. So let's say you are in a school play, you have achieved something, you have accomplished something, you are dancing, you're singing, you learned an instrument, and you have your debut essentially. It's the first time you're on stage, you're doing something, or you have created something and you've shown it to your family. And you then get criticized, and you then get compared to somebody else, like Lisa's plie was cleaner than yours, or oh no, this is not how it looks like, and destroying it, whatever. There are so many possible things here. If you had that as a child, congratulations, you are now blessed with the wound of rejection. Last thing could be emotional, physical rejection. In terms of if you experienced it more than once, that you ran to your, I don't know, your grandfather, your mother, your dad, any kind of family member to hug them, to share physical intimacy, emotions, love with that, by giving it a hug, being a little bit like cuddly, or giving a kiss or something, and you were physically pushed away by that person, and that happened more than once, congratulations, you have the wound of rejection. So rejection can even be directly. I love you all, and I see you tomorrow in the next video. Bye.